Video will record. What? Can I not record out of the cloud anymore? Record. Wow, they don't give me any other option other than saving to the cloud on WebEx now.
Wow.
Like there's a drop-down menu, but when I click the drop-down menu, it just says save to cloud.
Well, they're getting away,
Good.
get rid of a lot of stuff. They're going to be doing away with the P drive. Everything's going to share file. Technology. Uh-oh. I got one more page left.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Story.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hello, how are you?
I was at the other door, but I figured I'd have a better chance of somebody seeing me if I was standing here.
I should have. Articles, the beach have fish, then it was exactly a hallucination. And then the roll is underneath that, but I feel like I should put the trigger warning up front. Trigger warning? What's that mean? It's for me. What do you mean? Said I don't want to hear about the top trees on the east side near the Lowe's. Because I have to run by them twice a day, every day. Trigger. I know about them. Don't tell me about them anymore.
Well, here's something I didn't know about. You're a member of the Unitarian.
Yeah, you do.
I saw you're gonna be part of the service on the 12th, the Earth Day thing.
Yeah. It's funny, they had me do I guess a service. They had me write something about trees and kind of
Yeah.
communicate and stuff. Little did I know that I was actually giving the main sermon of the day. It's like, whoa, okay, I guess.
Well, I heard you were gonna be part of a skit, you and your kids.
I have not heard of this yet, but
I read it this morning.
sometimes you got to get voluntold instead of volunteer. So, howdy.
Everybody.
Y'all go ahead and pass that roll around. Make sure that everybody sees the trigger warning in the top.
That's really.
I put
Before
that
you
by.
guys signing on it. Mateo needs you to see it. 'Cause Mateo's
Good.
delicate soul can't take it.
Okay.
Probably saw the thing I sent you from next door too.
Yeah, actually we're taking care of that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's two different, there's the behind Green Acres. That's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's the other one that was just more general about how all the development. They don't even understand that. Can have a tree plant, but it's not like the trees are gonna magically appear overnight.
Some projects get away from, they don't have
Okay.
extra canopy.
Man,
that
I
they're
love
supposed to.
oxygen.
Yeah.
Some people
Well,
feed out, they're like, whoa,
It should
what's
be
going
green,
on?
since this is
Yeah.
a green.
So
tree.
I think it does make sense. So we'll bring that up.
Well,
Yes,
a lot
talk
of
about
people don't know what we do, so
Yeah.
I think nothing's being done either.
Yeah, I see all these trees just getting cut down. I'm like,
Right.
what's going on?
Yeah.
Got it. I'm
I thought you could please.
Yeah.
If anybody comments.
It's probably good.
But, you know, I would have if
To
he.
see those so that I can try to reach out to that.
We'll get it back.
specifically.
We're gonna go very far out of this thing. I'd love to come in here.
I tried reaching out to them. I didn't get an answer yet, but hopefully soon. We'll see.
Yeah,
We have a log on the table.
we do.
Yeah.
It's this is for show and tell
Do
part.
these have growth rings?
I was gonna say, if those are growth rings, it must be a
They-
really
they are-
fast growing.
They are growth rings, but they're not, they're annual rings, but they're not all of the annual rings. Because you know how wisteria wraps around itself and then that merges into this big, so that's the growth rings for when it was this size, but when it was littler, there's some disappeared annual. So it's really hard to tell the age of wisteria because of that.
Yes. Down there, so just.
So I estimate this one to be, I don't know, 100, maybe 200.
Wow.
Pretty kidding. Probably 15. 20, maybe, I don't know.
Only 15 or 20, it gets that.
That stuff grows like crazy.
Yeah, it's
Once-
really fast.
Once it hits the sun, yeah, top of the tree.
So when do you think wisteria was introduced to Beach Haven?
1914.
Man,
It's when that church group had one of their missions to Asia,
yeah.
and they brought back several, varieties of wisteria, planted them, so.
Yeah.
I know Malthus Ward planted Chinese wisteria on Deering Street back in 1840s,
Ah,
1830s, somewhere around there. So
Wow.
at least that was one of the first introductions.
Wow.
Is that still
Is that your
there?
pen?
Yes.
There is still
Sorry.
wisteria there. Your guys dealt with it.
Sell it.
Sure. 126 Deering Street.
It's good retail there.
I'm pretty sure that's the one.
Is that across the street from the tree that owns the
Yeah.
stuff? Got it.
It's Malthus Ward's old home.
My ears.
So, I've been doing a lot of reading on
From
that,
this tree award.
Last
What is
week.
this?
so I have it right here.
That
Quick recall.
that was a good, I don't know if I've ever told you, but that was a good podcast, by the way.
Oh, the one on the tree that owns itself? Yeah, that was
Has everybody heard
super
that,
cool.
by the way?
No, what?
I did a
Yeah.
podcast interview on the tree that owns itself. And actually last week while I was sick, I was working on that as a presentation to give here in Athens.
Right.
And I've got even more stuff now after that interview that I did. So I'm really excited about that. Very excited about that.
where do we find that?
It's This Old Tree is the name of the podcast. You can just search This Old Tree. And there's one of their more recent episodes is the tree that owns itself.
How's it going?
Hi.
Hey, Helen, how are you?
Good.
Good. I don't know you, or maybe I do. You look really familiar.
Oh, yes, you're, yes.
And more than welcome.
I'm Helen, and I'm a horticulturist and I'm a landscaper here.
Cool.
Well, actually, I'm more in Oconee, but
Okay.
I'm kind of distressed about, I said, what's going on. I grew up in Athens, so
Okay.
it's just, I'm not recognizing things anymore, so it's kind of interested, and I'm really interested in seeing if I can get Oglethorpe County to do something, but like a tree council or something, but
Yeah.
they may have one. I don't know. I called the commissioner and got nothing back today or Thursday, so I don't know.
I'm not familiar with anyone in Oglethorpe, but I know someone who would know.
Oh,
She's with the Georgia Forestry Commission, Lee Clark. I'll give you her contact info.
great. Thank you.
Well, it's 4:03. Maybe. We don't have a forum, but, we can, Nunley said she's on her way. There we go. There's Lauren. We're doing it. Cool. Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I should have asked about that. I figured you would be.
Does anybody else need to sign in?
I think we all.
We have an agenda as well that Lauren created for us. We may want to try to follow that. We'll just keep us on track. See. So we need one more to have a forum. But that is fine for now.
Did you bring this in? That's not English language, is it?
No, it's a relative, it's wisteria. Yeah. I do have an English ivy that's that big, though, if you want to see it.
Yeah, I've seen some that big and I was just blown away.
All right, Stephanie. Trigger warning. It's the trigger warning for Mateo, though. Let's not talk about the top trees over here by the Lowe's and the new Hair Depot. Good, you weren't gonna talk about it anyway.
I want to
I'm
know.
gonna look at it when I drive home
I've
though.
already had enough trauma associated with it, okay? Don't need any more. Tell Wick about it.
I don't go that way. Okay.
Judge yourself.
I didn't know.
Walgreens was on.
Well,
It's called Dr. Here.
Oh, I do.
And
not
I've
know.
noticed more trees at the Gusto place that you mentioned to me.
They've done it.
Well, they cut bald cypresses too, not just the ginkgos, but like they're bald cypresses in the back. They chop them too. Are they?
We're gonna be the motivation for that.
Kind of wonder who their landscapers are.
Why would they?
All
Need
right,
a little re-education there.
so we only have until 5:30. I think we should probably go ahead and get started chatting. Lauren, you wanna just get us started with what we're chatting about? I'm gonna take notes here, chime in when I need to.
All right, so. Introductions? Yes.
Yeah, let's meet who all's here.
You guys go around the whole table?
Well, no, let's do who's new. Let's do who's new. Helen, I think all of us know Helen
Yeah.
now. But you said your name is Liz, right? Can you just introduce yourself to people?
I'm Liz Curtis and I'm a horticulturist and I'm a landscaper in this area. Been around a really long time and I'm really concerned about what's going on in the county and even in Oglethorpe County and Clarke County. I grew up here. It's really distressing me. And so I thought I would listen in and see what's going on because I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So you live in Oglethorpe? Is that?
Uh-huh.
Well, if you don't get all your answers here, you can always feel free to reach out to me and I can answer any questions that you have.
Okay,
I'm happy
thank
to
you.
do so. There is a lot of nuance when it comes to the ordinance, but I can speak in pretty broad brushstrokes as well too. So, if need be, but.
Okay, thank you.
We need to approve the minutes from last.
We can't do it without a
Oh,
quorum,
Yeah,
can we?
I don't know, no.
Yeah, not yet. When
Wait on that.
when it gets here.
Wait on the first item on our list. All right, well, the next item was to go ahead and formally vote in Helen, but we'll wait till.
We can't do that either.
We
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 get
can
somebody.
table it until further
All right,
notice,
maybe
maybe.
somebody will come in. Next on our list was the Green Life Awards.
Did you skip the treasurer's report?
Oh, I did, I'm sorry.
We didn't forget you.
We didn't, I just, how much money did we make?
I mean, the very little change from last time, as you might expect. And I really think we need to talk about that because we have had only one donation all of last year. That didn't even actually get deposited until this year. And so the only income we have last year was the interest we got each month, which was about 9 cents. Plus the money that we got from the tree babies. If we didn't get them, then we'd be in bad shape. So I think, and I'm as remiss as anybody else, I have not donated to the tree council. And I think we're hampered because I'm not sure that the link from our webpage to PayPal is working. And that's,
Okay.
because that's the way that we have collected donations in the past. And if it's not working, then we're not getting any money from that source either. So we need to probably refresh our social media
Okay.
pages, or at least check them to make sure they're working.
Are we gonna revisit the coffee selling idea?
Yeah, so I think
So-
you may have missed, but we. do
I
have a
wasn't here
couple-
last time, I was somewhere else.
Mateo's got a very
An
exciting.
interesting possibility.
Yeah, I think we need to, I mean, we used to do the tree sales, which was a lot of work. And we only made usually about $600 from that.
Was that the tree fair? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, the tree fair and tree sales.
Okay.
Most of the income came from tree sales. But we haven't done that in a while because it just was getting harder and harder to get any people to come out. And it was a lot of work to haul trees in and out.
What
had
size
some-
trees were you working with? back
They're-
then? Like 1 and 3 gallons or?
Yeah, they're about
The
5 gallons, yeah.
Okay,
And, you know, we'd haul them all into Bishop Park or whatever, and then whatever we didn't sell, we had to haul back and get rid of another way. And it was a lot of work. And we had a couple bad years with really bad weather, like today,
okay.
where it's hard to get people to come to a tree fair. And then with the pandemic, we finally just gave up on it. I'm not suggesting we go back to that necessarily unless somebody really wants to, but I think if we have other ways to raise money, I think we should consider them.
Okay.
It looked kind of sad when I did the yearly report, there was hardly any income at all.
Can I ask, was it Mary Attaway that was typically dealing with our website?
Yes.
It was, okay.
So we need to, I think it would be a good time to take a look at that and make sure that the link to PayPal donations is still working.
Do you know what kind of website platform it is?
Was it WordPress?
It might be WordPress, that sounds
We
familiar.
should check, cause I haven't paid a bill for that in a while, so we may be in arrears.
I think actually it might be expired at this point. Somebody mentioned that they thought that our website was down recently.
But then we definitely need to fix it.
And I think
I
Mary,
could-
oh, I'm sorry.
I could look into it. I've done websites
Really?
before. Like I kind of look at that.
Well, since you are stepping up here, I think maybe we should go back to our tabled items that we were waiting for a quorum on, because now none.
Oh,
of us-
okay.
We have a forum.
Do you wanna?
Makes me feel excited.
We definitely need it.
Yeah, I was buzzing around, getting here.
All right. so-
Responsibly driving.
So I don't know, I think the treasurer's report doesn't have to be voted on necessarily, but
Okay,
taken as information.
all
And
right.
I emailed it to everybody who's on the regular email list, so if you're not and you wanna see it, you can get a copy from Mateo or you can email me and I will send you one.
I just finished just a second. I just finished our annual report from last year, and I'm gonna send it out tomorrow morning for everyone to take a look at. Make any adjustments that you think are necessary. But it's got the 2024 full annual report.
Yeah, I
treasurer's
sent out,
report.
I sent the finance out today with the monthly report.
Cool. So would you like to make a motion?
Yes, so do we want to go back and make a motion to approve our minutes from February?
To approve minutes from February?
I don't think I was there, so I probably shouldn't move it.
Does anybody second that?
Second.
Thank you, Natalie.
Sally.
Let's go ahead and say, raise your hands for votes for aye,
I do.
approve. Oh, Gary did, okay, all right, Gary, I thought you were being a little tough there, so
It got tired.
all ayes, I saw no nays. So motion passes,
All right.
minutes are accepted.
I guess our next motion would be to vote Helen.
Yeah, let's do it before anybody leaves.
Let's go quick.
Before Ellen changes her mind.
So Lauren motions to accept Helen Kindall.
Kirkendall.
Her-
It's
Kin-
pronounced Kirkendall, even though it's got the weird Y spelling. Like it doesn't have an R in it, but
Very good. Okay, I'm not crazy. All right, good. Kindall, does anyone second?
I second.
Sorry, who else? Let's do the same thing. Let's go votes for aye. Everybody raise their hand if they say aye. Any nays? Please feel free. So all ayes.
thank you.
I know that
Glad to have
I
you.
didn't prepare a
the
speech.
commission can be tough, though. We're gonna have to send it up to the commission. We'll see about that later. Okay, well, those two are finally
Finally.
Those are big steps right there.
of the 414. All right, let's continue.
You want to jump into kind of our fundraising?
Yeah, let's talk
We'll
about
go
it.
back to Green Life?
Yeah, it's pertinent because you just brought it up. When I was working with Jittery Joe, sorry if this is, actually, wait a minute. You had a question.
I was just wondering why you are fundraising. I mean, or is it just so you have extra money to get word?
To plant trees.
Yeah, just
Okay.
to try to plant trees. Traditionally, the Community Tree Council has done a lot of planting projects, and community outreach, as well as kind of being an educational resource for the city and council. So in the past, we've done a bunch of planting projects where we'll plant, 10 trees, and we have to water them. So a lot of times that is pretty expensive, to put in a 2-inch caliper tree with labor and watering, conservatively.
Last one cost us like
you know,
$1,500.
Yeah, for a 3-inch caliper, it can be really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
For a 2-inch, you're looking at $500 easy.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make sure we've got
So-
funds to do that.
So the government, so Clark County doesn't give any money towards this at all then?
No, the Community Tree Council does not have a budget that's been allocated.
Oh.
We've traditionally just worked off of donations.
They do provide some labor sometimes though, like
Well,
digging
usually I think that's
balls.
landscape management.
Was that landscape management?
Yeah, so central services,
Okay.
will offer assistance and kind of work hand in hand with CTC. So a lot of times Jeannie's the one that's able to get us assistance in that way.
Yeah.
And you are able to get them at wholesale, right?
Typically, yeah. Yeah, most nurseries are really happy to have us
Yeah.
purchasing.
Thank
from
you.
them. So, but yeah, so donations, right? We didn't get many except for the Founders Tree Trust last year. They gave a very large donation. But I was trying to think of ways that we could bring money in. And doing my sip and stroll, I started talking with Charlie Mustard, the head roaster at Jittery Joe's. And one day when I was just there talking with him, I asked him, have y'all ever done a tree that owns itself commemorative tin for your Jittery Joe's coffee? And he said, no, that's a great idea, but we haven't. But really, we don't do the commemorative tins. It's other groups that do it. And usually it's like a fundraiser. So what we could potentially do is get custom art done, and create a new tin. I think we should call it the coffee that owns itself. We would buy it from Jittery Joe's for $12.50 a can. That's with coffee in it.
Is that like for a pound?
Like the little tins that are 6-7 inches tall, that big around.
Like
Probably not a pound.
12 ounces.
Yes.
Yeah, so we could easily sell them for $20. That's kind of the around there. And then everything over $12.50 would be given to Community Tree Council. So if we're looking at, my mental math isn't the best, $7.50 per can. I think 300 is the minimum that we would do. So we could plant 2 commemorative trees, big ones, if we sold 300 tins. But I think people very often would like to donate and also get something in return. And I think having a collector's item, or something that they feel like they've given money to charity and now they have this cool tin, I think it would do really well. I know Jittery Joe's actually has something they call it, oh gosh, Joe Fund Me, like GoFundMe. But it's specifically for different organizations. If you don't want to do the selling part of it yourself, then Jittery Joe's will sell it on their website and then you get 30%. But I don't think we would have an issue with selling. We could to the co-op or any number of other venues or outlets that I think would work really well. So that was my idea for trying to do a fairly labor-free fundraiser. Jittery Joe's would be doing the vast majority of it. Checked with the lawyers for ACC. They're fine with it. There's no issue as long as it's CTC that is doing it, as opposed to like me doing it as the forester and giving money to the Community Tree Council. So that was my idea about the Jittery Joe's copy. Leave anything out of that? The only worry would be that if the coffee does not sell, Jittery Joe's typically has a requirement that if your coffee sits on the shelf for 6 months, then at that point they want you to toss the coffee, and they will refill it, but you have to pay for the tin essentially if you're not gonna do anything with it. So that's $3.50 per tin. But Charlie seemed to think that we would have no issue. Almost no one ever brings back their tins.
And they only fill a portion of the tins at a time, right?
Correct. Yeah, we
Like
could
fill
ask for
100.
the number.
Once those get gone, fill 100.
the manufacturer of the tin doing the custom graphics would only do it at 300 as their smallest batch. And then we could say, hey, Charlie, we need 30 of them, in the next month. And they would fill 30 tins. And then they would have the big pallet of all the other tins there in their back. And then we could come back to them 6 months
So
later.
that
"Hey,
way we
those
have more
are full."
time before they expired.
Yeah, so we don't have to have all 3 filled and sold them all in 6 months. We can fill 10 of them and then come back another month and say, hey, let's do another 10 or another 30 or another 100 or hopefully another 1,000. Anyways,
We won't have that many tons.
might be surprised. The tree that owns itself is pretty famous. And we don't have to sell them in person. We could sell them online pretty easily.
Oh, we could add them.
If the website's working.
Yeah.
Yep. Tree people love coffee. So what better
So
way to
would
do
it link, would we just post a link to Jittery Joe's where they sell it on their website? Or do we have like,
If we wanted to do the Joe Fund Me thing, but then they take a fair amount of the
Uh-huh.
profits. But we could do it on our own, the CTC website.
is there a vendor capability on that website?
We would probably have to have a merchant service added to it. There would be a cost associated with
And then
it.
somebody would have to keep up with like shipping it and stuff.
Yeah, well, it ships from Jittery Joe's typically. I'm not sure if that is the Joe Fund Me side of it, but I know that they do specifically ship like the Kishibashi, Widespread Panic, and a few of the others that are the commemorative tins.
Okay.
So the next step would be, if we are interested in doing something like this, would be for us to go to do a tasting at Jittery Joe's.
Yeah, I'm not putting
Twist some arms here. But Charlie said that he'd be really happy to have us come as a big group, and they'll give us all the different brews that they have that we pick from, and then decide on which one we would want to use as the coffee that ends itself blend. Not only was interested in us having a very like custom blend, but then that's very expensive, much more rigmarole, which would be awesome.
I just thought it would be, I've never tasted coffee in that manner before, and I thought it would be exciting.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna be exciting just to go and taste
but
all of the
yeah,
ones they
yeah,
have.
no, I think it'll be fun. Let's do it. Let's go now. It's like a perfect coffee.
It is a
date.
perfect.
All right, I'm gonna take down or at least an abridged version. So I don't know if we should necessarily. I don't think there's anything official for us to vote on with respect to the Jittery Joes, except for maybe that we should just continue progressing in that line of thought. And maybe we could approve just the idea of telling Charlie that we would like a tasting. We don't have to pay for it. We'll do it.
If we could get the numbers
Yeah.
settled down a little bit for what costs what.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
think that
have
would
to
be
commit
helpful.
to the Joe Fund Me, or can you do a?
We can do it on
mix?
our own.
No, I'm saying, can you do both?
That's a good question. I should ask Charlie about that.
I
So
think,
like a hybrid.
yeah, I think in the meantime, we can be working on the website or whatever. to
You know,
bring
it
to that.
might be simpler to do online purchasing through Jittery
Right.
Joe's, and then, we could take the physical cans to other venues to.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, a perfect hybrid model of it.
Or we could take it to the farmer's market.
Yeah, that's.
Well, and another thing we could do is go to things like App Fest and different festivals and have a table and you sell coffee and
Yeah.
provide the public education stuff, and that would be a good opportunity too.
It would be helpful to know the timing of how long it takes to get these.
Do we have a presence at Athens?
No.
I don't think we do.
Should we look into that? Like maybe collaborating with some other like green groups out there, maybe?
What's
Some of the
that?
days or
That
something?
Earth Coalition or something? Yeah, like that. Yeah, is that what it is?
No, it's not.
Well, there's
You're a little more radical.
Climate Change Coalition is kind of defunct, I think.
That's right. Does Keep Athens-Clarke County Beautiful do Alfest? I don't think
But
so.
maybe
The Greenway sometimes has done,
maybe
and they go to the farmer's market
Yeah,
on a fairly
yeah.
regular basis. And that's another,
I mean,
although
maybe,
there's a lot of coffee at the farmer's market, so.
maybe we should, try and partner with those groups and I mean, that might be a way to get some donations too.
I do, I've been working a lot. Actually last week I was out sick and worked a lot on kind of my theory on the tree that owns itself, about it being either Malthus Ward or his daughter that made the legend. And I'm getting close to being able to present and probably speak for about an hour with a bunch of old primary sources, old pictures, the works. And I thought it might actually be a really good time if I were to present to like the Athens Historical Society or some other groups. That would be a time for us to have some copy that owns itself ready for potential sale for the Community Tree Council. But that's in the future. I figured I would just mention it.
Well, Liz and I are in a garden club, the Piedmont Gardeners. And we have speakers that come in and talk to our group from time to time, and I think that would be a great presentation.
Definitely.
No, we don't, I mean, we're kind of set for this year, but we do the programming in the summer for the following year.
Boulevard Gardening Club has presenters too. I
Yeah.
can bring that up to some.
I think the Junior Ladies Garden Club
Oh,
would,
yeah.
would definitely be interested. At our Arbor Day celebration, there was a bunch of some of the older members there. And they were very interested in potentially a presentation on it. I don't know if they'll like what I'm gonna say about my theory. It was Jackson. But I think that would be a really an apt place for us to maybe unveil a limited edition coffee tin.
And you might even be able to do it at like the Welcome Center, remember when we did that? Because
Yeah.
they have all that kind of stuff about Athens there.
Yeah, a bunch of history there. Or that like kind of triangular the old firehouse that's on Prince.
That's where Historic Athens office is.
Historic Athens.
Yeah, yeah, they don't really
They
do
don't.
anything there.
They don't.
No.
Well, that's just kind of what's on my mind in terms of tree that owns itself in coffee. I don't know if we want to do any type of motion or anything like that. I'll leave that up to y'all. But if
I'm
y'all
not
don't want to
be
do the Jittery
specific enough
Joes,
yet.
yeah,
Could we just maybe arrange maybe a time, or do we need a motion to do that, or just arrange a time with Charlie to make a tour or tour?
we may want to make a motion to have us reach out to Charlie to create a time for a tasting and further, clarification for Pam's questions. I think you probably have the most cogent questions, being the treasurer. Yeah.
I so moved.
All right, what are you gonna move to do? What you move?
What you just said.
On a motion.
I'd
tell
like
about
to
a
make
tasting.
That we pursue the Jerry Joe's coffee fundraiser, first by contacting the storekeep and making arrangements for a tasting, the date and time of which will be announced later to the.
Excellent. So motion to pursue the Jittery Joe's Coffee fundraiser by first contacting Charlie Mustard and determining a good date for a tasting and Q&A session.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Seconded by Penny.
Gotta make it legal.
How about the eyes? Have we got any eyes around in here?
Can I vote now?
Yep.
No, not until.
Oh, that's like, the commission.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
Put my hand down.
You can vote, it just won't count yet.
We will take it.
Legitimize the.
Practice.
So motion passes. I'll talk with Charlie and let y'all know. Probably end up doing a doodle poll as to when would be best for everybody.
Mhm.
Speaking of, the fundraising end of it, the selling of the coffee, not so much presentation, which I think is a great idea to sort of introduce the council to everyone and to perhaps get a little inroad into the selling of the coffee. But what about something like the Arbor Day celebration that we had in Athens? From what you've talked with the legal people and all, would that have been an appropriate thing for us to have some cans sitting there at the end of the table?
Yeah, it would have been
Could
fine.
have been for sale while we're giving the seedlings away and giving information about.
Yeah, I think the worry was that if I was doing it as the forester and then giving it to a nonprofit, that there was some way of the
You'd be a
gratuities
government
clause
entity
being an
doing it.
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the funding, you can't, it also is like ACC can't
Right.
buy the coffee and then give it or sell it.
Yeah.
But I don't think Athenic would have had a problem with us doing that. It's not like we were selling Terrapin beer or something.
Yeah, they may say no to that. But yeah, I think the big issue is really just we can't do it. The
The way
ACC government cannot. But as a
And-
nonprofit organization, CTC is
Okay.
well within their rights to do so. To take donations and to fundraise. So, I mean, really, by the ordinance, Community Tree Council is able to ask for a budget from the commission, but we don't. We never have. So, it's these kinds of initiatives that will kind of keep us going well into the future. Hopefully, the Founders Tree Trust figured out a way and gave us their money.
We do have some expenses, like to pay for a website and so on. So if we wanted to do more with printing out brochures and things like that, there'd be a cost too. We just haven't done much of that.
What's up, Keith?
Next thing I think was what was the next thing?
Green life or there you can talk about
I think we do need to talk about Green Life because that is before next meeting.
I've already sent the fees in, so we're paid.
Cool. So we talked a little briefly last meeting about who we might honor. I know Holly Campbell had some support. But for a business, I don't remember if we had.
I suggested the
anyone.
Boulevard neighborhood for their tree planting.
So would it be the Boulevard Historic
For the
District? or-
Boulevard Neighborhood Association, yeah.
And I think, can you give me the minutes from last meeting? Yeah, Holly Boulevard District, so we said Winterville Tree Commission, Athens Housing Authority, somebody mentioned 100 Prince Avenue, as a developer. So right now, I mean, Holly seems to be the only one that everyone was like, yeah, sounds great. So maybe we should just go ahead, if we want to, make a motion for the individual award, and then we can talk about the business or group award. You want to do
So
that?
is Holly associated with the Winterville Tree Council? I mean, she's.
Holly was a founding
Part of-
member of the Winterville Tree
Yeah.
Commission. She stepped off some years ago,
Okay,
right as I was joining.
so that wouldn't work as a twofer.
No,
No.
yeah, so I think now her active thing is the Georgia Tree Council. After she stepped off of the Community Tree Council here, so. But she is prolific, I'll say, in the arboriculture world. Like everyone knows Holly Campbell. So she is a very big name in that world in terms of like outreach and education. So I fully support us giving her an award. But I'm gonna leave
Do
it
we
to
have
y'all.
to also pick a group, or can we just?
We paid for a
We
group.
paid for two.
All right, well.
My other option was Patropolis. Over there off of Olympic, because they had a tree die and then they replanted the tree without even being asked. And it was very surprising and
Paid
lovely.
for it themselves.
They replanted a white oak and it was like, wow,
Yeah.
you guys are great. Thank you. Thank you. I walked in there, I was like, who told y'all to replant? They were like, our boss. Who's your boss? I was like, thank you.
Well, that would be a twofer. We can support trees and animals.
Yeah.
I don't think we should like go above and beyond to reward people for just doing what they do, what they're supposed to do, you know?
I think you might be onto something there. Well, does anyone mention about Holly? Let's.
I'll make the motion to nominate Holly for our individual Green Life Board.
Okay. Y'all are awfully quiet about that motion.
I second the motion.
We
Um,
vote on that before we do the.
I think we should. Yeah, just go ahead and get it done
Get it
while we
done.
got people here. All right, so all those in favor of Holly Campbell, say aye. All ayes, no nays. Huh? I don't raise my hand. I count myself. So motion passes. So at least Holly will get the first. Now let's maybe we should talk about this second one. What do y'all think? I can't be saying everything here. What do you-
I nominate, I mean, I don't have I'm just ex officio, so I don't have an actual vote, but I'll make the case for the Boulevard neighborhood, knowing how much work was put into it. You know, they printed out signage, they had volunteers do the planting. How many trees did they end up planting? Like a couple dozen? Maybe over 20?
I
I
helped
think it was a
John with some of that.
Yeah.
Just
And I know John did a
Just-
lot
that
of
was a-
work, and there was a lot of, I mean, they've been talking about it and planning it for months and months and months.
Yeah.
They reached out to me way in
Yeah.
advance.
And there
Yeah,
was,
some
you know,
questions.
real consideration about what species and.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were really good at doing their their recon of it, you know, like what do we need to know? What do
Yeah.
we need to be thinking about here? So
They took
I-
it really seriously. John really took it seriously, I know, and there was a lot of
Yeah, we-
consideration.
yeah, we were trying to point out, you know, with the various trees, what insects or pollinators they benefited, and to help guide people if they wanted to select that.
was there like door hangers that were done or just like signs up on the roads that they
We're-
put up? Or?
We put up signs in individual yards of
Yeah.
whoever.
Yeah,
supported
anybody who
the plan.
kind of got a sign, but the outreach was, I mean, it's a pretty well organized neighborhood with Facebook page and listserv and regular events that it was touted. I mean, I was at least 3 events that touted the program over the course of a year.
I mean, it would kind of track with our last year's group as being Forest Heights.
I mean, I've been encouraging these neighborhoods to do things like this,
agree.
especially older neighborhoods that are losing their trees, you know, and we've got to get some replanted and replant the right species because those water oaks are
It sounds like they did everything right.
not, yeah, I mean, they did.
I think commending them would be a good idea, especially because I mean, community it's just really important. And by planting trees, they're not only planting trees, but they're also building the community there on the boulevard area. So
And advertising with yard signs.
Yeah, and you're kind of honoring the people who got it going, but also all the individual people who made the.
Well, and hopefully some other neighborhoods can.
Yeah.
Award another neighborhood next year.
I'm sure Jesse would also speak well to the Boulevard group. We got
Yeah.
2 of y'all there. I mean, you're close to Boulevard as well, right?
I live off Boulevard.
Right on, cool.
Block off.
Well, I don't know what y'all think, but I'm gonna let y'all talk about it.
Anybody have any other?
I mean, it's, yeah, I live in that neighborhood too, so
Yeah,
I
that's
guess my
true.
only reluctance was just feeling like I was voting for myself.
I know.
Yeah, like, alright, we did another good thing in my neighborhood, which is great. I mean, that's why I live there. You know,
But it's
but-
not like you did it all.
No, I didn't, I really didn't do anything. I showed up late and everybody had already gone. So-
So let me ask this, who do you think would be the person that would be coming to take that award for Boulevard, like?
It would probably be
John.
John Jefferson.
Mhm.
He's the chair of the Environmental and Preservation Committee, or at
And
least
I
was.
feel like it was, he kind of spearheaded the whole
Yeah,
idea.
he did
I
spearhead.
mean, I think then the award is really, I mean, while it is a group award, I mean, it's for his work and his like dedication to getting
Yeah,
it started, really. I mean, it's for everyone, but
I mean, the whole neighborhood association, like they helped get the word out and, but John was the chair of the committee that made it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty well-organized neighborhood association. It's the reason I settled in that neighborhood because it's like a,
But yeah, he located
Well,
all the trees and worked
Yeah.
with Chris Aubrey and
Yeah.
to get them all and, yeah.
He did
worked
a
with
lot- he did a
volunteer
lot of
groups To, yeah. He had a lot of energy in it.
well, I'll say that I'll probably vote for them if a motion is made, but I don't know about everyone else. I'll just say that.
I know, does anybody have
Any-
any other
Sounds
group
like a
they'd
winner.
like to?
I think it sounds like a really
Sounds like we need a motion.
worthy group. Yeah,
Yeah,
it had an impact, a lot of people were benefited.
I mean, it's no blueberry festival, but we can't do it 2 years in a row for Forest Heights, so. Yeah, I really like the idea, even though they've got a lot of mature trees, you know, they're still trying to plant more.
well, they've lost a lot of mature trees. Those water oaks were dropping right and left every time a big storm came through.
And maybe what y'all could do in the future is promote that to other neighborhoods. Hey, this is a great goal. This is kind of a neighborhood thing. Y'all could use that as a promotion to try to get more people to be
Yeah,
inspired.
exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Because I know Normal Town's lost a lot of trees, Forest Heights has lost a lot of trees. I know like Cedar Creek, was it Cedar Creek or Green Acres that got really hit hard by a storm last year?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, for the sake of moving things along, I will move that
Okay.
we give the group award to
Okay.
the Boulevard, what's the title?
Boulevard Neighborhood.
Boulevard Neighborhood Association.
John Jefferson is the head of the committee, or the primary instigator, I guess, but he's head of the committee that.
Okay, all right, so Pam makes the motion.
We need a second.
I second it.
All right, all ayes.
Oh, my God.
Hi.
Oh, all ayes, all right.
You're waiting for the motion, right?
All ayes in so motion carries. 4:44, it's good time. I think, regardless of what else we have on here, I think we should talk about the potential for a merger between Community Tree Council, Keep Athens-Clarke County Beautiful, and the Oconee Greenway Commission. We have a letter that we got from the manager's office just saying, hey, you know, what do you think are the benefits or the, you know, the detriments to this potential, so Jeannie and I are gonna be talking with them, but I figured I wanted to hear what y'all have to say about it. I know we had briefly discussed it in the past, but merging those bodies, do y'all want to create a letter? You're more than welcome to. It would need to be sometime soon. But do people have knee-jerk reactions, benefits, or costs to merging through the tree council with those other bodies?
How would that affect the nonprofits
That's
associated
my
with
question too, yeah.
Because I think Keep Athens Beautiful has its own.
Yeah, they're their own nonprofit, and it's the Greenway Commission,
They don't really do a lot of fundraising. They get city
They-
funds.
yeah, but are they a nonprofit?
No,
Well,
no,
think so.
they're a commission of the board and I would have a question about that, because I believe they're a commission that was created by
Ordinance.
ordinance.
Yeah.
Same as this one.
So that's, and they do have their budget is held in leisure services.
Mhm.
They do have a budget through that.
I don't know, I was thinking it might get, so this all came about because there are dozens of boards and commissions that the mayor and commission has to interview people, like place people. And staff staff ends up going to a lot of these meetings, so it really takes a lot of staff time too. And so the idea is, there's this movement on the Government Operations Committee. The idea is to kind of streamline it. And if there are places where some of these committees or boards or commissions or whatever are kind of overlapping, they could be consolidated and kind of fulfill all the missions in one body. But I mean, when you have, Tree Council and Keep ACC Beautiful that are nonprofits, I think that could hyper complicate things.
They each have their own set of bylaws and
Yeah,
everything. You have to figure
yeah.
out what to do with that. You have to figure out what to do with the money.
Yeah, I mean, I
how you
think the
combine
thing
them.
is, like, where I see the need is for a general environmental advisory board that can advise the local government, advise the mayor and commission on whether it's trees or water issues, any number of things that have anything to do with environmental issues, like, and because it just seems kind of scattered, because all these things are kind of overlapping, and definitely, I mean, I feel like, and there's absolutely no desire to like create a whole new body, even though, we have this renewable energy plan, that part of that plan is to create a new body to advise on that plan. I'm just wondering how something could be structured where you have a more unified body that has a broader approach to specifically advising the local government on environmental policy, whether it's trees or water or land or whatever. And maybe the nonprofit sides could kind of operate on their own.
Yeah, Jeannie and I were mentioning that. I mean, there could potentially be finagling where they would have kind of their own cost center, but still be under the same umbrella. Not 100% sure how it could play out, but that was kind of my initial thought. I was like, wow, we just got all this money from the Founders Tree Trust, and maybe we wouldn't be able to use it then,
Yeah.
or at least be diluted in some way with another body. It could be good or it could be bad. I'm not 100% sure which way I'm laying on it yet.
I mean, yeah, it's like,
Is this something that's gonna be decided for us?
I think that this body needs to come up, make a specific statement on how it might complicate things. I mean,
I would maybe make a recommendation that instead of a statement probably would be good, but I think action might be better. Just saying. We got a lot of money. We can plant trees. We can do stuff. We don't do stuff. Well, we haven't done much in the past few years. And of course, it's like we've had a big disturbance with COVID. I think we're like slowly getting our momentum back. And of course, most of us have jobs, so it's really easy for, I think, the CTC to kind of go by the wayside. But I think, especially after the Founders Trees Trust gave us this big endowment, essentially, like a big nest egg, I feel like it's our responsibility to put some trees in the ground.
We
And
still
even if
own trees for the Jordan, trees for tomorrow thing too.
yeah, I know that there was like some issues with like planting other things as well, and Jordan wanted it, and yeah. But I think instead of us doing the labor to plant, we got money, we can pay people to plant.
Or
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's practical.
Yeah.
Like,
Pretty good.
So I think if we are worried about being merged, maybe the best way to counteract that would be with action. And just go ahead and start planning things, and trying to get momentum started. And I'm not just saying that because I want to sell coffee cans and do my tree that ends itself presentation. I really like planting trees, and this last Arbor Day was super cool to get to plant a tree for a tree visionary of Athens. So
And I've got a lot of trees I want to save at various
I
county
was
properties
just gonna
too.
say, I think we kind of ran into this a few years ago. The tree council was created to support and continue the trees, not just planting trees. And several years ago, that's where everybody was like, okay, plant trees, plant trees, plant trees, when we quit kind of the education end of it. And the tree council was created to support and educate the community, the well-being of trees, not just planting trees.
I think trees have such a symbolic meaning to people in the community that they respond and relate to trees. If you say greenway, I mean, some people will, it doesn't have the same kind of, we need to protect trees because we're the greenway, can't send that same message.
Right.
Or an overall general environmental whatever council just wouldn't have as compelling of an argument, not such a focused, symbolic, meaningful reason for being. And so I would not want to see it diluted, that effort diluted by becoming something wishy-washy.
And would there be any benefit from the three groups maybe quarterly, getting together to share and exchange ideas and resources and, maybe just once a quarter?
Well, and talking
together?
about policy advisory stuff, because like, I think that's kind of where we fall flat is, we hear from citizens who are concerned about development issues and, green space being lost, and you see a tree on the highway topped off improperly, and do we necessarily have the policy in place to deal with that? And I think that's where we could really, as far as a governmental function, is where those entities could come together to advise policy.
Yeah, there's not any teeth in this group then, like developers can't is there anything like they want to take down?
the ordinance has teeth.
Yeah.
So,
This body does oversee like the appeals process if someone applies for like landmark tree status, because then you get a larger percentage of canopy coverage to fulfill your requirement. So if a developer were to say, I'm going to cut all these trees down, but I'm going to save this one tree and use it as a landmark tree, and if it's just, a water oak that's 6 inches in diameter, then they could be declined and say, no, that's not a landmark tree. And then if they appeal, this is the body that would decide if it truly is a landmark tree and if you should get double credit for it. But in terms of enforcement, CTC does not have enforcement capacity. That's more the Athens-Clarke County arborist, forester, and building inspections.
But that's part of the ordinance. That's all falls under the auspices of the
pre-ordinance.
ordinance.
Yeah.
So the ordinance has the teeth,
Right.
but
For
this
appeals process.
particular
I wouldn't
people
testify in
doesn't
front of
have the teeth.
the commission
County
in
that-
favor of,
They don't really seem to do anything.
because if somebody cut down too many trees
Yeah, I do.
and they got fined for it or penalized
I've
for it.
seen it.
And then I had to go in
I mean,
a couple
Really?
times and
some
testify in
might,
favor of or
you see,
opposed.
might be actually adhering to the ordinance.
Might have been.
Oh.
Because the
It's
ordinance,
a while
has a
ago, but-
percentage of
I don't know,
canopy,
but I can remember
sometimes
that
that
at least twice.
reserve canopy is not, if it's like invasive species,
It'll learn
or
some
stuff, like it'll all come down because it's not.
Well, I have a
considered
question about the
representative.
ordinance.
Um,
Stacy Smith and I were like
it's a
reading
big
through
green
it
space, but it's all full of
and
privet.
trying to apply it to school properties in terms of removing invasives. And so there's a section in the ordinance that says that you're supposed to protect trees from pests. But the pests that they mentioned was insects and fungus. And there was no mention of invasive species pests, the vines going up and killing trees
Yeah.
as much as fungus or. So what would be the mechanism to amend the tree ordinance to include tree pests as invasive vines? Is that?
It would require a text amendment to the tree
Yeah.
ordinance, as it is now for like tree, conserve. How do they say it? Conserved stands of trees. The only thing in our ordinance that we have says that, those conserved canopy patches must be free from kudzu.
It does mention kudzu.
No, actually,
I
it
didn't see
must
that.
be a healthy stand. And then in a tree preservation area is where they actually call out, you cannot have wisteria or privet in it. But nobody ever uses a tree preservation area in Athens for their mitigation or for them coming to terms with the tree ordinance. They use conserved canopy patches. And in a conserved canopy patch, the only requirement there is that they must maintain a healthy stand of trees. Now, I can make the argument that it being choked out with privet is unhealthy. But if we go to the lawyers of ACC, they're loath to bring that because a lawyer will argue that to death.
So maybe we put those details in the ordinance.
So those things have to
say,
be changed. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what I want to see this body do, is like bring those teeth into the ordinance where you can point, like, this stand has privet in it and privet is mentioned in the ordinance, so you got to deal with this.
I mean, privet is kind of like slow death for trees, but kudzu
Yeah,
is
all
like
of it,
they're
like, let's name it.
It's like,
I mean, or we could reference the invasive species list,
Yeah,
just maybe put a
exactly,
reference
updated.
into that invasive species, that new invasive species ordinance. So maybe that's where we need text amendment.
Yeah,
Reference.
no, I think it would.
It has to be, there's things that need to be amended, mainly in such the same thing with the invasive species and the vegetation ordinance that was just done. Is that until that, there wasn't even a definition on Athens-Clarke County books of what an invasive species was. And so while the tree ordinance in certain areas in the preservation listed a handful of species, it didn't list all and it didn't actually apply. And even on our tree list that you guys did update last year, like there were species on the tree list that were considered like, hey, you can plant these are recommended trees that were actually category 1, 2, or 3 invasive species in the state of Georgia. And so we've done some stuff on the to get some of that. But the next step would be text amendments and things like that. I do know that it wasn't necessarily the lawyers that stopped some of the further movement on really calling out certain invasives.
When I said that, it was more in terms of like planning department when they have tried to crack down and say like, oh, you need to have a healthy stand if you're conserved canopy. And then it just never worked. They were like, no, we can't enforce it. We don't have the right definitions. Like, don't even
We
try.
have a definition of invasives at this point. The problem is some of that with like, it's an easier argument to make for clearing out invasives like vines and stuff that are going up in the trees that are clear to people where they started from in the origin. And one of the things that we ran into even with the invasive species ordinance or whatever you want to call that ordinance was that privet is spread by seeds and birds take it and they poop it out. And so like it's really hard to show and then to maintain. It's not just a one-time thing. You can't just kill it, walk away, and that's all invasives. So that's part of it. But I feel like, I mean, there's definitely amendments that need to be made to the ordinance on that realm.
I think we're getting to the point where we need to have an amendment. Like it's been around for 20 years. Things change. So I think it is really important. And actually, I found some documentation from it must have been the 70s when I was going through my old file cabinet, and they had a tree revival at one time. And I think we need a tree revival.
Wait, what does that look like?
I know it was downtown though in College Square.
Like a fair.
Yeah, it was like a tree fair
Well,
revival. So I thought that was really cool. I was like,
maybe that's what we could do with Arbor Day, since we can't plan an Arbor Day here.
Can I like throw one idea that as a tree council, I would like for y'all to like think about?
yeah.
So, this is coming right out of the invasive species, ordinance change and some of the discussion from commissioners. At that point was, looking at the possibility of doing invasive species bounty program or pilot projects in Athens. And so we are working towards that, with the hope to be able to do a pilot project in spring of 26 and using Bradford Pear as the one to start with. I actually have a sustainability capstone group that's working on, that's their project this year. This spring is working on kind of doing some of the foundation laying groundwork, doing some public surveying to find out, is there an interest? What would be of interest? How would that work and that kind of thing. But one of the big questions and one of the big stumbling blocks that we're gonna have in that, and this is where I'm dropping this in y'all's lap as a thing to ponder, as you asked, how can you raise money for what are you doing? Is because of the gratuities clause, we can't, as Athens-Clarke County, buy trees with county money and then give free to the public, which would be the basis of an incentive, right? You cut down fruit that you took out of Bradford Pear, out of a managed landscape, not out in the woods. And then you get a free seedling or one or two native seedling in its place to plant in its place. So we will have to find, and the students are looking at opportunities, grant funding and ways to do that. But that would be one thing I would offer as something that the Tree Council, we'd love to have that, buy-in from the Tree Council. I would love for if there was a way for y'all to help fund some of that. And I don't know legally how, but if you're a nonprofit, it might work better. And you're not the only group that we'll be looking at, but we're also looking at different ways. So that's just me lobbing an idea onto the table that we're working kind of towards. The sustainability department is and working with other groups. And it's not that I haven't brought y'all in. I know Tay, and we've talked briefly, but this is like we're at the beginning, and I've got the students rolling with kind of doing something. That's maybe not the time and place, but we're talking invasives and what y'all are doing and can do, want to do. So
Yeah, and if y'all are not familiar with this bounty program idea, South Carolina did it very successfully with Bradford Pears. It was a hit with the public.
Is it ongoing or was it like
No,
a?
it's ongoing.
Is it ongoing?
Yeah, actually, I just
Yeah.
talked to
It-
David.
Because I read about it.
It was a lead up to their Bradford Pear ban ordinance, which went into effect in October this past year. So they did a 3-year bounty program and telling the nurseries you can no longer sell this stuff.
That was a state level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
State level.
Right, yeah.
So the way they do their bounty thing, it's across the state, but they pick a couple cities each year. And they've had greater success in the Piedmont and northern counties, not necessarily on the coast in South Carolina. So they are doing it at a state level, but they pick certain counties to do it and focus each year. That's part of, like, I had a conversation with Dr. Coyle last week. He's the person that's kind of has run that program and started that there in South Carolina. So yeah, we would, it would only be with Bradford. Part of it is the educational component of what is a Bradford versus a calorie and why do we share? And so they do it only on Bradford pears or other pear cultivars that are in a managed landscape. Like you can't go out to some, even property like a wild, it's not cutting down like a wild pear, aka calorie blades. This is like a Bradford because they're producing pollen, but that's cross pollinating and creating the wild. And so just different ways. And like we don't need to get in the nuts and bolts of that, but just throwing that out there as a potential thing and maybe a warning that we may come and ask for support in multiple ways.
So any other comments on was that? you,
Well, I was just gonna go back to the merging. I was just curious if you had any feeling from the other groups of what they thought, or like if they had any brilliant ideas about how it might work.
Oh,
or-
like the Greenway and I have not,
Yeah.
I have no insight into those.
I've heard
I mean, I
some
can tell you,
rumblings.
yeah, have you? I mean, I can tell you that, this is coming from some members of the commission who just don't like to have to go to a lot of meetings.
Yeah, I get it.
Which,
I just feel like there's a way to make that yeah.
well, I mean,
Somehow.
I'm like, this is kind of like what we signed up for, so do what you gotta do.
Well, if we could be more productive.
I mean, as far as on the commission, like, that's kind of what you sign up for, but some people.
Could we
can't
make
bother.
it easier on the?
I mean,
staff?
this body doesn't have members appointed directly by the commission. I think the main issue is, we end up sitting through meetings all day long, interviews all day long, like 3 or 4 times a year to get these bodies populated. This isn't one of those bodies. There's a concern about staff having to divvy up their time to sit on multiple bodies that make, kind of be interrelated and possibly, when it talks about ordinances, like it would be helpful to have a body that could amend some of these ordinances that had input from, different aspects of the environmental sciences. But as far as like the nonprofit function of this group and the tree planting function, and then the policy advisory aspects of this group, like I mean, maybe that's where there's room to kind of separate and just have a nonprofit that's into planting trees, and then have a really informed advisory board that maybe is a subset of this group that just does the nitty-gritty on policy advisory.
Well, I think having a summit, an environmental summit a couple times a year where the Greenway members and Tree Council and the other folks get together. Task force for climate.
Maybe a task force is maybe more like what needs to happen. So there might be some members of this group and some members of the Green Team.
Well, and like Envision Athens, that was like a separate umbrella. Or
it had members, yeah, maybe, I mean, maybe that's more, because Keep Athens-Clarke County Clean and Beautiful, theirs are not appointed by the Mayor and Commission. Greenway appoints its own members, so that's not even like solving.
Well, but they have to go, the commission has to vote on.
Yeah, but they approve a list, that's not the big deal. It's more the,
Like actual interviews.
it's the interviews, I think, that people are. And so it doesn't even, but then there's also the need to have a renewable energy commission or advisory board too, so.
So you say like things like the planning commission, I guess, would be one of those ones that you'll have to interview people
maybe
for.
we should start
district
preservation.
preservation.
Oh, okay.
There's a bunch of state mandated regional boards, library board, which actually I feel like that's a board that could appoint its own members. Library board, we get tons of people applying to be on the library board. Yeah, I mean, there's the hearing
There
board.
are some commissions that are more quasi judicial,
Mhm.
like
Like
planning.
and
And,
HPC, yeah.
and those make sense to have
Mhm.
interviews for those, but these other groups where we're just good citizens
Yeah.
here. We're just appointed
Yeah.
to be good citizens and active.
Yeah.
So basically, maybe the commission needs to look at redoing their ordinances and requirements of all the different boards, instead of the boards changing to.
Yeah.
And if you want just not you particularly, I'm just saying as a whole, if the need is there for, like you said earlier, for a conservation. Fine, get the conservation together, like you just even said, this is something that I've heard from several different other committees as well. Volunteers, you're not getting paid to be here.
Exactly.
There's a lot asked of you as an individual to be here. And you're doing it for free, you're doing it your own time, you're doing it for a passion.
this is something that hasn't, I just wanted to kind of go back to this fundraising stuff y'all were talking about earlier. You know, what I'm really aware of is the profile. I think that this group needs to raise their profile, and I don't really understand because there's a lot of people I think that would donate to your nonprofit if they knew about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Would
I
get
don't
out there.
know, I don't know whether you could get on WGA, you say you have funds or something to start raising your profile. I think the community of Athens and this whole area would gladly donate to this tree council if they knew about it. But I don't think people even know about y'all. I mean, you hear about stuff a little bit, but no one really knows. I think you need to raise your profile. I think there are a lot of people in Athens that are very well off that would donate if they knew about it. But I don't think the awareness is totally there. Anyway, I just thought I'd say that.
Like
I
the
think
tree
it's quite well
planting,
made, yeah.
tree planting we did, like just, we knew about it, but there was no press release that.
Yeah, we need
that
some
went out.
PR.
We need social media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll try to reach out to Mary, because I think Mary, she handled the website and all of our social media.
Could be.
I think.
Well, she would know who did anyway, probably.
Ms. Tara, did you say there was an intern availability at some point?
I think Warnell, might give landscape an intern at some point, but I'm not sure about interns for like CTC oriented stuff. I've never heard of there being an intern at CTC.
That's something we've talked about in the past, as well as a full-time employee that headed up for CTC. KCCB has a staff
Yeah,
that works through solid waste. They have a staff that is KACCB.
and they do
We're
a great
volunteering.
job with their PR.
Yeah, I mean, they have a
because
staff that does that. They're a paid staff. This is
Yeah.
volunteer.
Yeah, if that was my only job, you better believe everybody be knowing about the CTC.
But a simple press release is just something you can just. shoot
Yeah,
out
when
to the
they're on
media
the-
And
well-
then they do the work.
Tins of coffee say a lot too.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing, Gary, is like I have a big binder, I can't remember the school in UGA, that's the like public. It might be, it's not Grady, maybe,
Communications.
Journalism.
yeah, it's journalism. And they did a big study on how the CTC could have a public awareness campaign. And I was like, oh, this is great, like, cool, like, I started opening
We
it.
did not just have to hire a Warrenell student.
Well,
We
it was
can
all
hire-
old stuff.
Right, we can hire any student.
Yeah.
Was that pre-social media?
Well, I
It-
can't do
it
that.
Yeah.
And we did actually brought in a couple students a few years back that translated a lot of the CTC and the publications from English to Spanish and updated those. So it does not have to be just a sole landscape intern, or it can come from any division of the school.
Anybody who wants to, yeah, but I mean, like, so that public awareness campaign, they were talking about like, oh, it's, we need to hit these different newspapers and all this stuff, and I was like, well, I don't think this one's gonna work. So I think we need to be a little more modern with respect to that. But it is kind of, it's a blank slate. We haven't done much of that since kind of the new world.
Flagpole calendar announcements are free if you just
Yeah.
mail it in.
We totally do, and I think Flagpole actually would be one of those in print that would actually benefit, that would work.
And the Audubon chapter here, I think we pay $75 a month to get it announced on the radio several times a week.
Ron, you have connections with WUGA. I mean, when we need something said, I think we've made calls for like new members on there. Maybe I should just reach out to them and see if they want to do like an interview with one of us, and talk about trees or something.
Well, we kind of have an event coming up, April the 26th, Saturday at Sandy Creek Park. I think.
Take it away, Gary.
I think that, but the park people told me that, yeah, we're doing it, and I guess they got all the permission boxes checked. I'm not sure. It'll probably sign up through Give Pulse. But that would be an event we could
Wait, you said
brag
April,
about.
April 26th?
Yeah, Saturday. It's So April 25th is National Arbor Day, and so this would be like National Arbor Day weekend is what we're gonna call it. So, and the little flyer that they put out, it says, National Arbor Day Save a Tree. National Arbor Day Tree Saving or something, Tree Rescue, that's what it said, but they've already put out a flyer to advertise it.
I'm sorry, I didn't print it out.
Where is it?
He sent it to me. I will send it to everyone. He sent it to me today. I think that was today.
Where's the event though?
Sandy Creek Park.
Sandy Creek?
Yeah.
There's a lot of trees out there that are really, really covered up. Definitely needs
We
work.
did a sort of a test run a couple of weeks ago. This was one of the wisteria vines that
Jesus. Yes.
So I mean, actually, I mean, if we wanted to put the CTC name behind that, a vine removal project, I mean, I think that would be good. It's us putting our name further out, actually having a project. But I don't know if y'all want to be a part of that.
Is there a CTC Facebook page?
It was.
Mary.
I mean, at least like
Uh,
activating that would be helpful.
Right.
Does anybody have access to it?
When you start doing presentations about the tree that owns itself,
I think that'll
if
be,
you did a public presentation, maybe like at the library or something
Mhm.
like that, then we could start promoting it and getting people's
See-
signed up for our information.
Mateo, I think there is like, little public service things on WGA where you can announce like different events.
Okay.
Here's
Like,
the Facebook page.
I'm pretty sure that like those kind of things are free, maybe.
okay, cool.
Like, when is your talk?
No idea. I'm still working on it. It would have been nice to be able to do it in March because it's Women's History Month. But c'est la vie. It'll just have to be later on. I don't think I'll be ready for another few months. I'm just working at it on my free time.
It would be really cool to roll out a presentation with the Jerry Joe coffee.
I was thinking
And
that.
make it like a thing to really make it bigger than just
Right, and
one
if we
or
do
the
it in
other.
the fall before Christmas, then people can buy it for Christmas.
A lot
They
of
have a deadline.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fine to have that deadline. And a lot of people actually have done Jittery Joe's coffee subscriptions as Christmas presents for people they love. So you get like 1 tin every month. So you're buying 12 tins for somebody. And I would love that. But that is a thing that Jittery Joe's Coffee does is you can purchase a subscription. So
So there's this Facebook page here, and the last update was last Arbor Day tree giveaway,
was that
February 2024.
2024? So it might be Mary.
Is anybody?
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
who knows how to
There
do
you
that?
go.
I've never done the Facebook thing. Do we have anyone in this group that
That's-
it like does this stuff?
I mean,
It's pretty.
You're not one of us.
I know, I
I
want to do some of this stuff for a living, but I'm not allowed to.
Instagram and the website.
Website, yeah.
We
I mean,
could
we could probably.
Give it to your daughter.
But I think it's easy. You can link Instagram to Facebook. So
Yeah,
you make
there-
one page
Yeah,
post
there's this
and
new
then it
platform.
but we just need to figure out how to get into all this stuff.
So Mary's the key.
I think she
She would
is.
have
If
to-
not, then maybe she
Because
could point us in the
every
right direction.
Page like that has to have an administrator.
The
Yeah.
moderators.
We would have to assign somebody else to be the administrator of that Facebook
Right.
page. And then if you're doing any kind of fundraising and like if you're anything that's going to have money passing through Facebook, then there's a second level of things that you have to kind of go through. And you can link it to Instagram, but it does have to be linked to someone's, they may have changed this. It did have to be linked to somebody's actual Facebook.
Yeah, you have to have your
You
own
can't just
Facebook account.
create
Oh.
a tree council one and not have it linked to a person is the problem. So, and you can't go in and change it. She will have to go in and assign.
But
it.
she can-
She can
Reassign.
assign a new moderator. Yeah.
You could reassign it.
And
Yeah.
then they are the person that's
Yeah.
linked to.
They just have to have a Facebook.
Mhm. Yes.
So if you already have your own, if you're on Facebook, you can be assigned the moderator of the CTC.
Is anyone on Facebook?
Well,
I'm old, I am.
I had Facebook. I was actually in the first generation of Facebook when UGA was one of only 10 schools to have Facebook. The first year it ever came out, but I've gotten rid of it many years ago now. So
I mean, I have a.
well, I was a moderator for our garden club.
Okay.
And then I reassigned it to somebody else, so I don't do that anymore, but I'm happy to help out, for this group.
well, I'm gonna talk to Mary Attaway about handing over the reins, and see what we can do, and I'll send an email out to everyone. Hopefully,
And she's still on Facebook because I see her post from time to time,
okay, very cool, very cool. Well,
mostly her kids.
we should be able to get the reins handed over then. Oh, Gary, your project, are you wanting the CTC to make that like an official CTC event in conjunction with you, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, and y'all can come volunteer if you want. But yeah, I just thought it would be,
You, or is that you, who, is that just you organizing?
no, well,
the
it's
tree rescue?
me and Sand Creek Park personnel.
Okay, okay.
And I guess they have a Facebook page too, so if we endorsed it or whatever, we could piggyback on their publicity and put the tree council name on the flyer, stuff like that.
Sounds like a great idea to me. Another way to promote Arbor Day again, even if it's not our.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Second Arbor Day. It's like second breakfast. It's important.
nationwide.
do we need to make a motion to
Secretary is waiting.
get behind you with the
Yeah, well, get behind the park. It's not,
Sandy Creek, okay.
yeah, I mean, I kind of
Or get behind
organized it
removing
and I'll
the
be
city.
there, but.
Yeah, however we
but
do.
it's-
However we
it-
do. We'll do, make a motion to support Sandy Creek and their tree rescue efforts.
So I'll make a motion to support the Sandy Creek tree rescue efforts.
April 26th, you said.
April 26th. I'll send a flyer out to everyone tomorrow.
I'm gonna circle back around to the merger topic. If you don't mind, if you have ideas or thoughts, please let me know by tomorrow. I have to present this on Wednesday, so if you have any thoughts, it doesn't have to be a concrete, just an abstract thought, pro, con.
That's the what topic?
The merger.
That, yeah.
So
Yeah.
do we do that as individuals?
Just, I have to give it to the manager's office.
Y'all can email me your thoughts. I can forward them over to Jeannie. That wouldn't officially be a
Right,
CTC
no, this is not
response.
right, it's
It's
just,
public
Okay.
input.
just your thoughts, yes.
Yeah. So,
About,
Yes, I'm not representing you.
what's the deadline?
Tomorrow, I
Tomorrow.
have to turn this in Wednesday.
but I mean, I don't think a decision is being made. at
No,
that time.
they're just
So,
wanting to know which way people are thinking.
Input from, okay.
Further input can be taken possibly. I don't know.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, to answer your question, yeah, they're wanting to be separate.
I'm sorry, what was the?
Yeah.
They are wanting to stay separate.
Just.
The other organization.
The others were.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah, it's gonna be very difficult for KCCB because they get national and government funding. So
Oh, right.
they have certain requirements that they have to meet. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought, big budget.
I think the group should, in my opinion, yes, they should remain independent. And if the commission wants to know something as a group, as a whole, as an environmental impact, pull 3 or 4. For sustainability.
And was it the commission that recommended the merger of those three, of our three group? Is that the three groups?
There's not just 3.
there's
Oh,
a-
they're
There's
recommending.
36. There's 36 boards and commissions that they're looking at trying to.
But those 3 specific.
But
are the
those-
ones
okay.
that-
Yeah, they're just trying to find it, have.
Ones that they
something
have,
else.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
A motion was made or at least brought up. Do I have any seconds though?
I did.
I second that.
Still a second.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Votes, all right, so all yays, let's see. Motion passes, all right. All ayes. I think what we can do is we can make some changes to the flyer, put a logo on, that kind of thing, we'll talk. Oh, God. There was something I wanted to say, what were we talking about? Oh, you talked about the idea of a summit, like an environmental groups summit. And I think that might be an easy kind of early event for us to do. Hey, let's go ahead and reach out to the Greenway Commission or Keep Athens-Clarke County Beautiful, or, even like the developers. We were talking about having a lunch, right? Where we teach people or we do the outreach, which is, a major portion of our goals and our objectives as the CTC. Well, what if we held a summit where we were bringing these groups together? We could pay for lunch and where we could really all collectively talk about tree ordinance or stormwater management or all these other things that should be tied together in some form or fashion. I don't know, just throwing it out there. That's a potential thing. Like, I do like the idea of a summit that's hosted by the Community Tree Council. I think that sounds good and it will be good. But I mean,
It does have.
Now, would that be incorporated into our comments about this merger thing, or is that separate?
Say, we should definitely say that.
Suggested as a,
instead of us just being merged always, maybe we should just have like one meeting a year where we all come together.
Quarterly mergers.
But that's, I think, going at a different issue than the issue, which is why it's being brought up, it's like, I don't know, I think the more we are active, the more we are out there, showing people who we are, I think the more likely we're gonna be where people are saying like, oh yeah, they don't need to be merged, like, they're doing a lot. They had that tree revival. I got into the tent and was saved by trees.
Do we need a tree Bible?
Oh yeah, we're almost out of time, y'all. It flies. Anything else that we have not discussed that we
in 2 minutes.
should in 2 minutes? Real quick.
I might harass you some more about the tree grates downtown, but we have to do that.
Yeah, I owe you something on that.
Thank you for the letter on that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great start.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm asking for the right thing. And also, as I was looking at it, I thought, okay, they took all these and they were crepe myrtles out, probably for a reason. And I don't know.
I think those spots are really tough just to get water into them. But even if we bring that up and it's like, no, that's a non-starter, at least it's like us being like, hey, why don't we do this? Like, what's going on? And at least it's showing energy. So I really like the idea that we're starting on it and putting something down. Like, that's the hardest part.
Oh, yeah.
Just getting a scaffolding to work off of. So I think it's a great start. And it's something that we need to be talking about. And City Hall in the classic city needs to look classic. And what's more like classic than trees? Like, that's being classic is having an enduring quality. Trees are the epitome of that. City's not classic when everything's brand new.
Exactly. That's actually a really good line for a lot of things that go on around here.
We're maybe classic, but things are looking real new. I say that a lot. I think I said that at the Arbor Day celebration, maybe. But yeah, no, I'm really happy that you wrote that. Thank you so much. Because really, like, honestly, my time, like, I just don't have time to create that kind of a letter. Like, I want to. But I've just got so many other responsibilities with respect to the forester that when I'm coming to the CTC, it's like I'm just doing the things that I have to do for us. But I am more than willing to kind of continue on with that. So thank you. Did everybody else see that letter?
I just sent it to you guys because I wasn't sure.
So
if
I'm
I
gonna
was
send that one
asking
out to
the
everyone as
right
well.
way. And then I left a space for the, how much money is this going to cost
Okay.
for you?
Tree branches.
Just
And you brought up the idea of,
Oh,
permanent cedar.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
instead of bringing one in every,
Right.
yeah.
And I don't know if there's room, I don't know about that idea, but I thought we'll
You
just
might as
throw
well
it in.
bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, we cut out a new cedar every year.
yes.
And we spend a lot of money on people driving around, looking at trees and going to another one, looking at the
Yeah.
tree, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we gotta go look at that tree again, so
You gotta cut it down and haul it
we
in.
gotta cut it down and call it in, yep. And then we gotta find another one the next year.
Yeah.
This year was tough.
I mean, when you take that one to the chipper, how many seedlings do they give you? It
I
should
think
be
it's just one.
Yeah.
It's only one. You aren't special, Phil. Your tree was big, yes, but only one. Well, I think maybe we should adjourn.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, Pam. Pam, thank. All ayes, no nays, is that correct?
Unopposed.
Thank you for all your efforts on the Arbor Day. It was great.
It was fun.
It was, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And
Yeah,
it's
I'm sorry.
really
Go.
touching to have a family there and their stories.
It was super cool.
Yeah, what a late.
Cool to have her son there.
Yeah.
And really, I got to know a partner of people that I've been dying to meet. Yeah.
It's
Starting to happen.
interesting. I was not aware of it.
I was there.
Maybe with this one, but I heard,
We were down. I only talked with her mom, Lucy,
they have a.
Okay.
when I was there. I didn't even know
They
that.
have their county government by
Yeah.
the budget. And
It's a good one to.
they provide a lot of the
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They have a budget. It's just a
Oh.
line item that the county gives them each year to work.
Well, we haven't married. I don't know. You want me to take that off your, I can reach out to Mary.
Okay.
I can treat it.
Yeah, we should figure it out.
We don't have.